Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I'm back with some more in the quest for truth. We are going through piece by piece and video by video and seeing what Donald Trump has to say about himself. What is his plans for when he takes office, when he wins this election come November? What is he planning to do when he takes office in January? What is his direction for the United States? Not some random heritage foundation or other think tank, what they think should be done, but what does he think should be done? We're going to tackle another 5 videos today, and we're going to see what he has to say. We're going to start with Agenda 47. President Trump announces plan to stop the America Last warmongers and globalists. Let's dig in and see what's up.
World War III has never been closer than it is right now.
That is true, and that was true then 2 years ago when he made this, but it is definitely true now. We are very close.
We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America Last globalists and the deep state, the Pentagon, the State Department, and the national security industrial complex. One of the reasons I was the only president in generations who didn't start a war is that I was the only president who rejected the catastrophic advice of many of Washington's generals, bureaucrats, and the so-called diplomats who only know how to get us into conflict, but they don't know how to get us out.
Right.
For decades, we've had the very same people, such as Victoria Nuland and many others just like her, obsessed with pushing Ukraine toward NATO, not to mention the State Department support for uprisings in Ukraine. These people have been seeking confrontation for a long time, much like the case in Iraq. And
they have been pushing for a war for a while.
Other parts of the world, and now we're teetering on the brink of World War III. And a lot of people don't see it, but I see it, and I've been right about a lot of things. They all say Trump's been right about everything. None of this excuses in any way the outrageous and horrible invasion of Ukraine 1 year ago, which would have never happened if I was your president, not even a little chance. But it does mean that here in America, we need to get rid of the corrupt globalist establishment that has botched every major foreign policy decision for decades, and that includes President Biden, whose own people said he's never made a good decision.
The only question now is when he's out. He is not running for re-election, if you were unaware, somehow in some way, but nobody's seen him for a couple of days, and there are suspicious circumstances surrounding his withdrawing from the race. It is entirely possible that they ran out of clones.
When it comes to looking at other countries and looking at wars, we have to replace them with people who support American interests. Over our 4 years in the White House, we made incredible progress in putting the America Last contingent aside and bringing the world to peace. And now we're going to complete the mission. The State Department, Pentagon, and national security establishment will be a very different place by the end of my administration. In fact, just into my administration, it'll be a very different place, and it'll get things done, just like I did 4 years ago. We never had it so good. We'll also stop the lobbyists and the big defense contractors from going in and pushing our senior military and national security officials toward conflict, only to reward them when they retire with lucrative jobs, getting paid millions and millions of dollars. Take a look at the globalist warmonger donors backing our opponents. That's because they're candidates of war. I am the president who delivers peace, and it's peace through strength. There was a reason we had no conflict. There was a reason we didn't get into wars, because other countries respected us. I entirely built, all right from the beginning, rebuilt our military. It's a big reason for that. They didn't want to mess around with the United States, and now they're laughing at us. We could end the Ukraine conflict in 24 hours with the right leadership. At the end of my next 4 years, the warmongers and frauds and failures of the senior ranks of our government will all be gone, and we will have a new group of competent national security officials who believe in defending America's vital interests above all else. Thank you very much.
All right. So, my only concern with Trump getting in office, for the large part, is that he will not again drain the swamp. Right? The first time he promised, hey, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to get rid of a lot of these people who were in here doing bad things, and then he didn't. He chose one of them as a running mate. He listened to several of them along the way. He appointed them to offices of responsibility, and that greatly concerns me about this next term. I think that he's going to win. I am energetically investing in the winning, in the making of America great again. I am energetically investing in that. I believe in it. I do. I believe that Trump is going to win, that we are on the rise. I hope that he actually, this time, removes some of these snakes. Right now, he has no control over the Congress. I fully understand that. He cannot abolish some positions. We have spent a great deal of time in these playlists going through those things, right? The things that he can do, the things that he can't do. It is well within the executive position to be in control of the executive offices. There are people who have to be approved by Congress or by the Senate in order to be appointed. True. But he can have a list ready on day one. As soon as you walk in the door, here are my people. Get it done. Hopefully, we get the mandate in Congress to go along with this, right? I am fully invested in Trump's going to win. We're going to win the Congress and the Senate, and we're going to have the mandate for at least 2 years to get done some great things. My only real concern is that the pendulum will swing too far right, which I have a problem with, and that he will not get rid of the swamp, right? It is deeply embedded and it is hard to drain, but I think it can be done, and I think he is the one to do it. He knows he won't be here for another term. It's a one and done situation. Get in there, get it done, get out. I think he can do it. All right, so Agenda 47. President Trump announces plan to end crime and restore law and order. Now, ending crime is an awful big sell. Give it to me. What do we got?
Joe Biden and the defund the police Democrats have turned our once great cities into cesspools of bloodshed and crime. There's never been anything like it. Here's my plan to restore law and order in our cities and throughout our country, frankly. First, because police forces have been gutted by Democrats' war on police, I will sign a record investment in hiring, retention, and training for police officers nationwide. So important. This bill will also increase vital liability protections for officers because the Democrats want to take those protections away from our police because we want them to do their jobs, and we want them to do their jobs right. You can't take their protections away if you're going to have them do their jobs properly. Second, to qualify for this new funding and all other Justice Department grants, I will insist that local jurisdictions return to proven common sense policing measures, such as stop and frisk. Very simple. You stop them and you frisk them. Strictly enforcing existing gun laws against convicted felons, cracking down on the open use of illegal drugs, and cooperating with ICE to get criminal aliens off our streets.
I'm a little bit concerned with that because you do get into the unreasonable search and seizure part of that. If you have no reason to suspect that I am doing something illegal, there is no reason for you to stop me, right? And being dressed a certain way, even having a certain odor, is no reasonable suspicion for commission of a crime. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not.
And get them out of our country. Third, we will go after the radical Marxist prosecutors who are abolishing cash bail, refusing to charge crimes, and surrendering our cities to violent criminals.
That I agree with.
They have surrendered like never before. I will direct the DOJ to open civil rights investigations into radical left prosecutors' offices, such as those in Chicago, LA, and San Francisco, to determine whether they have illegally engaged in race-based enforcement of the law. I will also work with Congress to give the victims of their Marxist policies the right to sue local officials for harm and suffering, and it has been great that they have caused. If your small business is pillaged because shoplifting goes unpunished, if you're brutally attacked by a violent felon released without bail or bond, then you will be entitled to massive damages. Fourth, I will order the Department of Justice, or some people call it the Department of Injustice right now, and Homeland Security dismantle every gang, street crew, and drug network in America. Every single...
That's a big ask. Now, I understand the want to in this. I really do. But the necessity of execution of that is going to be some rights violations on gross scale. And that is not okay.
Single one of them will be dismantled. We already know where these turf wars and drug dens are. We know who the people are. And we're going to charge them and charge the culprits with every crime that we can find. We're going to be fair, but we're going to be tough.
Like, I'm okay with legally doing things, but unreasonable search and seizure is not legal, right? And undue persecution is the problem no matter who the target is.
We also need the death penalty for drug dealers. So important. And
that, again, is going to depend upon a lot of variables. If there's somebody selling pot, that is not, to me, worth death. Fentanyl, however, is another consideration.
And add to that human traffickers,
I'm okay with that. If you were selling people, then I am okay with you no longer being with us.
Dealers and human traffickers, they get the death penalty. Watch it stop, and stop quickly. Fifth, in cities where there has been a complete breakdown of law and order, where the fundamental right of our citizens are being intolerably violated, I will not hesitate to send in federal assets, including the National Guard, until safety is restored. If Nancy Pelosi would have accepted our National Guard or our soldiers, you wouldn't have had January 6th. But she and the mayor of D.C. didn't do
that. Was a setup, in my estimation, by my conspiratorial mind, allegedly.
That. Sixth, we will end the...
Like, there are literal court cases being handled right now that are showing that, but I still have to say allegedly.
Leftist takeover of school discipline and juvenile justice. Many of these carjackers and criminals are 13, 14, and 15 years old. I will order the Education and Justice Departments to overhaul federal standards on disciplining minors, so when troubled youth are out in control, they're out on the streets and they're going wild, we will stop it. The consequences are swift, certain, and strong, and they will know that. Seventh, I will protect the right of self-defense everywhere it is under siege, and I will sign concealed carry reciprocity. Your Second Amendment does not...
That's a big one for me.
...end at the state line. In addition, I will, of course, fully secure the border, dramatically increase interior enforcement, and wage war on the cartels. We have never had a border so secure as it was just 2 years ago, and now our border is the worst anywhere in the world and possibly of all time. There's never been a country that allowed to happen what's happening in the United States right now, where millions of people are pouring across our borders. They come from mental institutions, they come from the prisons, they're all being let out so they can come into the United States. They're poisoning our country. We will also take back our streets from the homeless, the drug addicted, and the mentally ill. I will discuss those plans in much more detail very soon. That is how I will bring back public safety to America. I want to thank you. We're going to make America great again, and we're going to make America safe again. Thank you.
All right. So, we've already talked before, and we will talk again about my plans for helping with that last part of that. I have plans for the homelessness, for the people coming out of prison, and for our listlessness problem. That's a whole different thing. But I want to talk real quick about this police situation, because I was very outspoken about police reform, right? I was never one of these defund the police. I understand the necessity of having an orderly society. But we do have a problem with differential enforcement. We do have problems with overabundance of violence. And I have a plan that we could use right? This is something that can be picked up and taken by anybody who has any authority whatsoever to write any type of a law. If you want to start mending the situation with police brutality and these unjustified shootings, this is what you need to do. There needs to be a jury, independently drafted, just the same way that we do criminal trials. A jury to review uh, every single incidence of police involved violence. That's everything from an accusation and not an investigative unit within the Justice Department, right? But independent citizens to view this outside of the prejudicial treatment that it currently enjoys. There is absolutely cases throughout the country of prejudicial enforcement of the laws, of people being unjustly beaten, unjustly shot, but it's not nearly the problem that it is portrayed to be. And the best way to ensure that people are not thinking that things are corrupt is to show it, to be transparent with it. And so if we pull every week, you've got a new jury pool that reviews these things. There's no way of determining who will be on there. It is just a random jury pool with no disqualifiers. You go in, you review the situation, and you make a determination. Use of force justified or not? Should it require further investigation? And when you have it that transparent and the people are making these decisions and not somebody appointed and not somebody elected and not somebody that is involved in the payroll system, but somebody who is just a random citizen who is looking at this, situation will resolve. The people who are doing the wrong thing, when they start being held to account by the citizenry of their districts, will change their tune. And the places where it is accused and it is not founded, it will be shown that by the citizenry of the county or the parish or whatever, however y'all do it. It will be transparent. And that's the main thing that needs to be done. If you want this to go away without all of this defund the police nonsense, I firmly believe that the police should be the best trained, best paid, hardest to get positions we have. These are the people who hold authority for the law. They should be held to a higher standard, but they should be paid accordingly, right? It should be exceedingly difficult to get the position. It should be highly sought after, hard to obtain position of discrimination, not by racial or gender, but by performance. And if we can do that, it will take care of many of these problems. Next up,